Alrighty, we are back with chapter 13 of Catalyst by Lisa Beeson. I think I'm in a sort of secluded enough spot to be doing this. Or people are just gonna think I'm crazy. Oh wait, too late. Well, people will think, you know what, I've already messed up my image. I'm a loony bin. Chapter 13. The next morning, after her rehab session, Ari told Cam about what happened with Val the previous night and her suspicions about the shades, leaving out the part about dreamwalking into Val's personal memories of her traumatic childhood. He'd been with Ari the last time she had to run into some particularly nasty shades in Germany, and he knew they were nothing to mess with. Okay, that's definitely something to take note of, he said, rubbing the back of his head as he thought it over. But it just proves that you're safe here. The only way they could get to you was through Val, and they were only able to do that because she broke the rules and snuck out, Cam assured her. And she's probably not going to be sneaking out again anytime soon after what happened. Ari nodded, but she now had an idea about what Val meant when she called this place a prison, especially now that she was here. By now, Ari was used to holing up in one place for a long time, but not everybody felt the same way. No one was safe to leave Scion's Keep anymore. They were all stuck here for their own protection. The sense of foreboding Ari had started feeling the night before was building up and looming over her like an ugly, menacing storm cloud. What old Enzo had told her about facing her demons kept repeating over and over in her head, causing her chest to tighten with the coiled chains of dread. You must face them, or you'll never be free. But I'm not ready. After Ari hadn't seen Val at breakfast, she discreetly took Maren to the side and asked how Val was doing. Maren said that she was physically fine, but the experience had traumatized her, and that she was now resting up in her room. Did she tell you what happened? Ari asked quietly, while the twins were busy finishing up their second helping of syrup-soaked pancakes. Maren lowered her voice as well as she leaned in. She said that she snuck out to some bar to play with her friend's band. Afterwards, their old drummer bought them all a couple rounds of drinks to celebrate their performance. And while she was dancing, someone slapped an acid tab on the back of her neck like a sticker. She can't remember anything after that. She doesn't know who did it or who left her outside the cafe. It's all just a terrifying, confusing blur that doesn't make any sense. Ari thanked her, and as she went back up to her room with her minions following close behind, she tried to think it all over. Who had saved Val from the shades? She had been in no shape to get back to the cafe by herself, and Ari couldn't see the shades just letting her go. Ari remembered that Randall had said the person that left Val on the sidewalk was a large male. That's not exactly helpful. Who was the Good Samaritan? There were just too many pieces missing. She'd have to talk to Val and get her to tell her everything, whether it made sense or not. After Ari sent the twins off on an arbitrary errand, she went over and looked through Val's door to see her lying in her bed. Her blanket was wrapped around her like a cocoon, and she was just staring blankly at the wall, whistling that same tune that she was humming in her dream. After a couple bars, Ari recognized it as Castle on a Cloud, which was the song young Cosette had sung in Les Miserables. It tore Ari apart watching Val trying to comfort herself by dreaming of a place where no one could hurt her. And she couldn't help seeing the sad, lonely, frightened little girl in the teenager's eyes. No wonder Val pushed everyone away. All the people who were supposed to love and protect her had either hurt her or abandoned her in one way or another. Then, to make things so much worse, she had been put in such a desperate situation that she'd actually had to kill someone in order to protect herself. Ari couldn't even imagine the toll that must have taken on Val. Ari had only nearly killed Cale, and the guilt still haunted her to this day. And yet Val still went on. She hadn't given up. "Don't let this beat you, Val." Ari knocked on the door. Val flinched at the sudden sound, and then yelled, "Go away!" not even bothering to look at her cuff to see who it was. "Val, it's me, Ari," she said, watching Val carefully and latching onto her energy so she could get a sense of what Val was feeling. Val was surprised that it was Ari, and agitated that her despondent malaise was being disrupted. But she didn't say to go away again, so Ari took that as a good sign. "I understand that you want to be left alone, but..." Ari quickly went over everything she wanted to say, but it all either sounded crazy, since no one but Cam knew about her dream walking, or seemed like an empty platitude. So she just channeled her feelings of love and comfort to Val, and said, "I just want you to know that you're not alone. I'm here for you." Val scowled and shook her head in rejection, as though the feelings and words were too good to be true, and she couldn't let herself accept them. It broke Ari's heart. She knew that it was because Val had been burned too many times to believe that anyone could truly love or care for her. "I mean it, Val. If you ever need someone, I'm here." Ari willed Val to know the truth of her words. Tears were streaming down Val's face as she silently sobbed, but she stayed where she was, wrapped up in the safety of her blanket. Ari wanted to bust in there and give her a comforting hug, like the countless times Cam and her family had given one to her when she needed them. But Val wasn't ready for that yet. She also knew that Val wasn't ready to talk about what happened to her last night. So Ari took a deep breath and tried to envelop Val with a sense of peace before she broke the connection. "Whenever you're ready." 3 days later, Val finally came out of her room, but she was avoiding everyone at all costs, eating all her meals by herself and spending the rest of her time in her chill-out room. Ari gave Val her space. She'd given the open invitation, and now it was up to Val if she wanted to take it. That evening, after everyone was done with their chores, all the kids except Val were hanging out in the rec room. Ari and the twins were putting together a puzzle of the Great Pyramids on a table towards the back of the room. She had been worried at first that the 1,000-piece puzzle was going to be too advanced for the 7-year-olds, but what they lacked in practical application they made up for in enthusiasm, and the two of them attacked it like champs, leaving Ari with most of the harder sand-colored pieces. Alvaro was immersed in sketching something in his sketchbook while lounging on one of the couches by the huge TV, while Ellie and Claudia were watching a primetime reality dating show. Cam, Joshua, and Taika were playing a video game about killing zombies on a smaller TV in a side alcove area, taking turns playing and cheering each other on. Between their noises of disgust and jubilation, they were exchanging theories on how they would survive a post-apocalyptic zombie rampage. "I'd duct tape a bunch of knives and saw blades onto the end of a hockey stick for a melee weapon, and hole up in an empty water tower that I'd rig with booby traps," Taika said as he mimed swinging the hockey stick around and decapitating imaginary zombies. Ari could tell their conversation was starting to unsettle the twins, so she decided to drown the boys out by telling her minions facts about ancient Egypt, trying to make it sound as interesting as possible to keep their attention. "Did you know that both women and men wore makeup?" Soren scrunched up his face in disgust, and Skylar's mouth dropped open. "The men wore makeup too? That's weird," Skylar said. Ari nodded. "They would line their eyes with a substance called kohl, because they thought it would give them magical healing powers that protected them from illnesses. They also believed in over 2,000 gods." "Why so many?" Skylar asked as she started pounding a piece to force it to fit. They each had different duties and responsibilities, from causing the sun to rise to everyday chores. They all had to be worshipped to keep everything in balance. "Weird," Skylar dismissed as she chose another piece to fit in the space, since the other one proved uncooperative. Ugh, one moment. When Cam's turn with the game was over, he got up to go sit on the couch with Claudia, plopping down next to her while smoothly draping his arm around her shoulders. Both of their radiant energies began to spark and crackle with attraction. Ari had to tamp down her contradictory feelings of happiness and jealousy for the couple's budding romance. Jealous that she'd never have that kind of relationship, but happy for Cam that he'd found someone to experience that with. Ellie turned to look hopefully over at Joshua, but he was too busy killing zombies to pay her any attention, so she turned back around with a long-suffering sigh. Ari was barely aware of the girl's program being interrupted by an important news bulletin, while she continued to tell the twins about Egypt. But then, Alvaro dropped his sketchbook and abruptly stood up to get a better look at the images flashing across the screen. He frantically searched around for the remote control to turn up the volume, finally finding it by Ellie and quickly snatching it up. "Shut up, everybody!" he yelled as he bumped up the volume so the bulletin could be heard over the various conversations going around the room, and the screams and zombie groans of the video game. Joshua paused the game and turned towards the TV, where an anchor woman sat speaking in a serious tone. There has been a rash of... Well, there goes my attempt at being a reporter. There has been a rash of terrorist attacks over the past couple weeks throughout Europe and Asia. The unknown assailants have targeted a pharmaceutical research center in India, a chemical factory in Russia, and an electronic technology manufacturer in China. The attacks were carried out during the night, so there were minimal casualties. No one has come forward to claim responsibility, and Interpol has been unable to find a motive connecting the attacks. But they believe that the attack on the pharmaceutical research center in India might have some connection to a violent altercation a block away from a Mumbai hospital that happened a day later. The same hospital is thought to be ground zero for a potentially fatal virus that is resistant to antiviral medications and has attracted much alarm in the medical community. The graphic beside the anchor woman changed from a bombed-out building to a biohazard symbol, overlaid by a person wearing a surgical mask. It is quickly spreading across India into other highly populated cities across Eurasia, and is thought to be a form of biological warfare. There are over 1,000 documented cases so far, and the fatality rate continues to grow. Experts fear that this superbug can threaten populations globally, especially those individuals with weaker immune systems, such as the elderly and small children in third world countries. The highly infectious virus is transferred through bodily fluids and has an incubating period of 2 to 4 days. But once the symptoms start to manifest, which include sharp pains, chills, high fever, inflammation of the mucous membranes, internal hemorrhaging, and hematidrosis, the infected succumbs quickly, leading some to nickname the virus the Red Death. If you experience any of these symptoms, please go straight to your nearest healthcare provider as soon as possible. There are no confirmed cases reported in North America as of yet. The Chief Public Health Officer cautions against international travel and urges everyone to cover their mouths when coughing or sneezing, to wash your hands as much as possible, and to stay away from large crowds until a vaccine has been found. We will continue to keep you updated on any new developments as they come in. And now we will return you to your regularly scheduled programming already in progress. I was trying not to cough through that. The screen turned back to the show the girls had been watching, but a news ticker continued to scroll across the bottom of the screen, reviewing everything the anchor woman had just said. Ari knew the term Red Death was taken from Edgar Allan Poe's short story, The Mask of the Red Death. Ice ran down her spine as she thought about how none of the characters had been able to escape it. Everyone was frozen in stunned silence until Taika said, So, is it too late to start doomsday prepping for the apocalypse? Shut up, Ty, this is serious, Ellie said as she started chewing on her fingernails. The world is going totally insane. And just when I wanted to go study abroad. Typical. Oh gosh, I can't stop coughing. Shut up, Ty, this is serious, Ellie said as she started chewing on her fingernails. The world is going totally insane. And just when I wanted to go study abroad. Typical. Why would anyone want to spread a horrible virus like that? Have you had any visions about the superbug or the terrorist attacks, Alvaro? Ari asked. Alvaro nodded with a look of anguish in his eyes. I saw this when I woke up this morning. He picked up his sketchbook and walked over to Ari to show her what he had been working on. It looked like graffiti on a brick wall that was a stencil of a white death mask, with red tears running down its cheeks, and under it was written, "Beware the Red Death, only the worthy shall survive." Everyone else came over to see the drawing as well. Then Cam, Ari, and Joshua locked eyes with each other nervously, all thinking back to what Miles had said about the suits wanting to create a new global government run by progenies by instigating a worldwide cataclysm that would force the nations of the world to rally behind them. Ari mentally connected to both Cam and Joshua and thought to them, do you guys think Anaximander is behind this? What if they created that superbug to thin out the herd so it'll be easier for them to take over? And maybe the terrorist attacks on the pharmaceutical research center was just a way of hindering the process of finding a cure? She could feel both of their nervousness and their hesitancy to believe that Anaximander was already trying to end the world as they knew it. But she could also tell that they were thinking the same thing she was. Joshua thought, it says that only the worthy shall survive, which leads me to believe that Anaximander already has a cure. And that's how he's going to get the countries to rally behind him. He'll get to pick and choose who will survive. Whoa, that's heavy, Cam thought, able to hear Joshua's thoughts through Ari's connection. Everyone had stopped talking to look curiously at the three of them, staring intently at each other. Cam took the initiative to alleviate everyone's fears so no one started to panic. The media is probably just blowing this all out of proportion like that Ebola scare. They have to have something for the 24-hour news stations to talk about and frighten people over. The medical geniuses will figure out a cure in no time. I mean, it's the 21st century. We don't have worldwide apocalypse plagues anymore. And anyway, Ari interjected, sounding calmer than she felt, we have George, Maya, and Azza to help keep us all healthy and to work on a cure. And you could help them by amplifying their abilities, Claudia said, catching on to what they were trying to do. Ari nodded enthusiastically, but the foreboding she felt was growing. It looked like her demons weren't going to wait for her to be ready. The day of reckoning was coming fast. She mourned the loss of the peaceful future she had envisioned for herself here, and took a deep, bracing breath. Suck it up and adapt. So we won't get sick and die? Skylar asked, looking pitifully up at Ari. Not if I have anything to do with it, Ari said confidently, bringing Skylar onto her lap and hugging her close. Between everyone here at Sion's Keep, we'll figure out a way to beat this. She looked significantly at Cam and Joshua, showing them in a glance that she was planning on doing anything she could to foil Anaximander's plans. They nodded back, showing her that they would as well. Right. Well, I'm gonna go show this to Hugo and tell him about what we saw on the news, Alvaro said as he picked up his sketchbook and hurried out of the rec room. Soren stood up to lean into Ari and said timidly, maybe if we put that Egyptian coal stuff around our eyes, the magic will keep us safe. Yeah, Skylar chimed in, her face filled with hope. The magic makeup will keep us safe from the sickness, just like the Egyptians. Maybe, Ari said with a smile. If it helped them feel better, why not? I'll see if Maya can whip some up for us. And if not, we'll go with regular eyeliner. that was the end of chapter 13. Ooh, very exciting. I've already read these, so I need to refrain from saying the wrong things. But ooh, very exciting. Alright, thank you for joining us for 13. I believe I'm going to go on to 14. But I'm going to try and get this dang cough under control. Hopefully, I feel like the cough is picking up. Like the scratchy cough is picking up. Which usually is a sign that the sickness is, like, almost done. Like, final phase. I hope that's the case, because I'm irritated as heck that this has been going on for almost a month now, I feel like I've been sick for a month. I know, like, yesterday I said 3 weeks. It's probably been 3 weeks, but it feels like a month now. Thank you for joining. See you in the next chapter, chapter 14. Peace.